So Anurag ji, a very warm welcome to you to Impact Show by Bizgurukul.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful, and the concept that you told me about, that what Bizgurukul is doing, is beautiful and reaching out to thousands of those students who are building their careers. So thank you so much for building this nation, Bizgurukul.
Thank you so much for your lovely words, sir. मैं आपसे सबसे पहले तो ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि फ्रॉम बीइंग अ फेलियर इन स्कूल, लाइक यू फेल्ड इन स्कूल, यू टोल्ड मी राइट, यू फेल्ड इन स्कूल एंड फ्रॉम दैट पोजीशन टू बिकमिंग an expert guest in KBC and helping the contestant win 50 lakh rupees. So what do you feel about this whole journey of yours?
You know, I failed in school, yes, I agree. But I did not fail in school because, I was a dumb student. Because I did not have enough time to study. मैं 14 साल की उम्र से सोशल वर्क में चला गया था. I started doing social work at the age of 14. And my school was someone who really supported my principal, my owners, my teachers. A lot of them supported the initiative that I had taken up.
Okay.
And उस वक्त पे जब बच्चे स्कूल जा रहे होते हैं, अपने दोस्तों के साथ घूम फिर रहे होते हैं, मैं समाज सेवा की ओर बढ़ गया था.
क्या बात?
So at that point of time, I had no time to study. And people used to think that I was dumb, but if I was dumb, I wouldn't be passing in so many other subjects.
Of course.
I failed primarily because of maths, because of science, economics, accounts, all these subjects. The only subject I liked in school was English and Hindi. Okay. That's all. I said, भाषा सिखा दो, बाकी सब कुछ मैं सीख लूँगा.
Great.
But I think that was the reason that I did not study at school. बहुत जो टाइम बचता था, जो जैसे भी पास होता था, क्लास में जो टीचर्स पढ़ा रही हैं उसके बलबूते में मैं पास होता था.
Okay.
So I think focusing on studies is very important. Of course, I'll not tell anyone कि पढ़ाई मत करो.
Was it due to some sudden incident or any sudden turning point which motivated you to take up social service at the age of 14, or it was imbibed in your upbringing?
I think it was imbibed in my upbringing. I saw my parents, I saw my grandfather, my grandmother. My grandfather's no more, but he was a very kind soul. He'll make sure that everyone is taken care of. He was always a giver. And my grandmother, on the other hand, she would always say कि घर पे कोई आया है तो खाली पेट नहीं जाना चाहिए. So whosoever it is, she'll make sure that these people are fed at home. Whosoever. My father would never celebrate our birthday with big cakes and big parties. He'd always take us to an old age home. हमारे घर के पास एक कुष्ठ आश्रम हुआ करता था देहरादून में, तो वहाँ लेकर जाते थे. तो जैसे कई बच्चों को सिखाया जाता है कि ये नहीं छूना, वो नहीं करना, ये भिखारी है तो उसको हाथ नहीं लगाना. My father always told me that if you will feel what they are going through, or maybe you will feel more compassion towards them when you touch them, when you hug them, when you feel them. And each time we went to this Kusht ashram, we would hug these people, and they who felt untouchables, they loved you because they saw a good intention in you, that you're coming forward to hug them.
Right.
Also, कई बार हमारे क्या होता है कि हम लोग चाहे किसी भी पोजीशन में पहुंच गए, जब हम लोग कहते हैं कि अच्छा हम लोग जैसे कई बार स्लम्स जाते हैं, so I've seen a lot of people going to slums, not sitting with these people, not being a part of them, excluding themselves by sitting on a chair or a sofa,
Right.
not sitting with them. जो वो पानी पी रहे हैं वो पानी नहीं. और यही छोटी छोटी चीज़ें मैंने इम्बाइब करी हैं अपनी फैमिली से, दैट द मोर यू इन्वॉल्व योर सेल्फ विद देम, द मोर दे विल बिलीव इन यू, द मोर दे विल वर्क फॉर यू. सो दैट इज़ वॉट वी हैव डन बाय इन्वॉल्विंग विद देम. वी हैव मेड देम फील दैट वी आर वन ऑफ देम एंड नॉट डिफरेंट. सो सोशल वर्क में हमको जितना हम उसको दिखाएंगे कि हम आपसे अलग है, उतना कम काम होगा. सो वी हैव टू मेक देम फील दैट यू आर वन ऑफ अस एंड वी आर वन ऑफ यू, एंड बी विद देम. So that is what I learned all my life from my parents.
तो 14 की एज से कौन से ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट्स आपने स्टार्ट किया, या क्या ऐसा इनिशिएटिव था उस टाइम पे कि आप बीइंग अ स्कूल किड आप you came to social work? कैसे स्टार्ट हुआ ये?
So it all started from class 6th, when Pandit Birju Maharaj had come to school to perform.
Oh, great.
And when Maharaj ji was performing, of course I was stumped because उनके बारे में हमारी जीके की किताब में पहले पेज पर हमेशा लिखा होता था, अबाउट लेजेंड्स ऑफ इंडिया, अबाउट पीपल हु हैव डन एक्सेप्शनल वर्क. तो उनको अपने सामने देखकर ऑफ कोर्स आई वाज एक तरीके से कह सकते हैं मंत्रमुग्ध. बट कई सवाल मेरे जहन में बार बार आ रहे थे. one question that did not stop coming was that why at this age is this man performing in front of me in my school?
Okay.
Whereas my grandfather at his age is enjoying his retirement. ऐसी क्या ज़रूरत है इस इंसान की कि इस उम्र पे भी इनको काम करने की ज़रूरत है?
Right.
And that question I asked the moment he finished the performance, and he said, any questions? And I raised my hand. I said, this is my question. Now, maybe someone else would have taken it in a negative way. कि कैसा सवाल पूछ रहे हैं. But Maharaj ji called me on the stage and he explained to me very beautifully. He said, जो भी हमारे देश में था, या तो मुगल ले गए, या कोई चोरी करके ले गया. British took it away. But whatever is left, that is what we need to preserve. He said, we are so influenced by the West and we want to westernize everything. He says, why not preserve what is yours? And knowing, see, there's no harm in westernizing. I personally believe, अगर आपको अपने देश का जो धरोहर है, उसका ज्ञान है, उसके बाद आप कुछ भी करें. अपनी भाषा आपको ढंग से आती है, उसके बाद आप और भाषा सीखें. बिल्कुल सीखनी चाहिए. पर to say that, to look down upon your own culture, your own heritage, your own language, and say कि नहीं हम तो ये करेंगे, westernize करेंगे, that is not right. That is not correct according to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is what Maharaj ji said, that I'm preserving what is left, and that is why I'm here to perform, so that my art form does not die. And then I asked him a question. I said, what can I do as a youngster? And he said, volunteer. And that's when I started volunteering with Speak McKay. And I used to travel across the country with Speak McKay, with the artists. And I think that gave me an exposure of next level. Being with the artists, just being around them, you get to learn so much. And I was telling my parents that, even if I don't go to college, I get so much to learn from these individuals each day, each moment. The way they behave, the way they talk, everything.
Was their ideologies?
Their ideology, everything. So I think also volunteering helps a lot of people. कई लोगों को लगता है कि volunteer करने से क्या होगा. कई लोग certificate के लिए करते हैं. But if you're genuinely doing it with the right people, you will get a lot of benefit out of it. In fact, I say my managerial skills today, my speaking skills, my the way I deal with people, it's all from my initial days of volunteering.
Okay.
I've all learned it from there. So I think people must volunteer and understand the importance of volunteerism. So that's how it started.
A lot of people, they have different impressions about social work. तो मैं आज आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा, what is social work? क्योंकि किसी को लगता है social work means चलो मैं थोड़ा donate कर देता हूँ, किसी को लगता है खाना दे देता हूँ, किसी को लगता है कुछ और वे में कर देता हूँ, So people have अपने अपने तरीके उसको लेके. So आप अगर उस पर थोड़ा रोशनी डालें तो.
The very first thing is that people need to understand that social work is a profession. जैसे एक डॉक्टर की ज़रूरत एक समाज में है, एक पॉलिटिशियन की ज़रूरत है, वैसे ही एक समाज सेवी की भी ज़रूरत है. A social worker is a reformer whose job is to bring up the people on the grassroots level to a level where they can serve their own thing. They can buy their own meal. What has happened, Rohit, is that today the definitions have changed drastically. एक ज़माने पे जिसको हम कहते थे कि donations or charity, it was at a point of time when rich kings and rich royalties would give it away to their praja,
right,
would give it away to the families who lived in their constituencies, in their provinces. In today's date and time, what is happening? People are saying ये कुर्ता मेरा पुराना हो गया, I don't think मैं इसको पहन सकता, इसको डोनेट कर देते हैं. हमारा खाना जूठा खाना बच गया, इसको हम डोनेट कर देते हैं. या सड़क में जाकर को मैं कई बार मुझे शर्म आती है जब मैं देखता हूँ कि लोग अपना रेस्टोरेंट का जूठा खाना खिलाते हैं लोगों को सड़क पे. What is the need? Why are you doing things? This is happening because they don't want to change anything. They want to satisfy themselves. कहीं ना कहीं है तो हम इंसान ही ना. Unknowingly, knowingly लोग ये गलतियाँ करते हैं. But I think this is what needs to change. People need to understand कि discarding something does not mean that you're doing social work. किसी को एक दिन खाना खिलाने से आप उसका भला नहीं कर सकते. हाँ, उससे आपको satisfaction ज़रूर मिल सकता है. Maybe उस moment के लिए उस इंसान को थोड़ी मदद मिल जाए कि उसको खाना मिल गया, उसकी भूख उस moment के लिए मर सकती है. But as social workers, our job is to eradicate that problem and come up with solutions to resolve that issue. And that is what social work is. So मुझे याद आता है एक इंसिडेंट जब मैं कॉलेज गया था. कई लोगों को पता ही नहीं था कि BSW होता क्या है.
I was just about to come to that question itself.
मास्टर्स इन सोशल वर्क. एंड पीपल सेड ये भी डिग्री होती है, ये पढ़ाई होती है इस चीज़ की, इसमें क्या करना है, इसको खाना बांटना है, इसको कंबल बांटना है. नो, इट नीड्स अ लॉट ऑफ स्ट्रैटेजी. इनफैक्ट जिस दिन मैं कॉलेज गया, आई हैड दिस बिग thick book with me which was full of articles and the work that I had done. So when I went and showed it to my professors and teachers, कई लोगों ने बोला, why have you come to college? Because you have an experience of 6 to 7 years before coming to college. Why do you need to come to college? And I personally believe that we are all walking on a path. But a lot of us don't know whether we're walking the right path or the wrong path.
Yes.
So guidance from universities, colleges, or if you have a guru or a teacher is very important. No matter how talented or how good you are, if you don't have guidance, I don't think you can move ahead.
Agreed.
And that was the moment when I felt that going to a college will really help me understand whether the work that I've done in the past is right or wrong. And if it is wrong, I'll find a direction, a new direction. And if I'm right, I'll move on with guidance this time. And going to college, I learned so much about the theoretical part because all I was doing was physical work.
Right.
I did not know anything about the theory. I did not know anything about what has been written and what has been happening for so many years. So I think going to college gave me a very good perspective. So all those people who want to pursue this as a profession must go and get a degree in social work. So that's what I think about it.
Normally जब हम प्रोफेशन की बात करते हैं तो पीपल लुक एट फैंसी थिंग्स कि भाई एक MNC में उसके बाद जॉब लग जानी है और ये सब प्रोफेशन जो हमें सब बताए जाते हैं. टेकिंग अप सोशल वर्क एज अ प्रोफेशन, जब आपने ये डिसाइड किया, व्हाट वाज फैमिलीज रिएक्शन? लाइक डिड दे सपोर्ट यू इनिशियली या अब कर पा रहे हैं बिकॉज दैट्स अ टोटली ऑफबीट करियर?
To be very honest, for a very long time, my family did not even know I was doing social work.
Okay.
And each time, I would ask for money from my family, whatever my pocket money was. In fact, not just pocket money, kai baar when they used to go out for outings, like for example, they would go out for dinner and they would say that today we're going for dinner or today we're going for a movie. So I would sit like an accountant. वैसे maths नहीं आती थी मुझे. But this time I would sit like an accountant and I'll say, अगर आप मूवी के लिए जा रहे हैं तो 600 रुपये टिकट दे दीजिए, 400 रुपये पॉपकॉर्न और पेप्सी का दे दीजिए, 200 रुपये ट्रैवल का दे दीजिए. माय फादर इज लाइक, व्हाट्स रॉन्ग विद यू? एंड ऐसे करते करते मैं पैसे इकट्ठा करता था टू डू माई वर्क. एंड my father was really taken aback by this process while I was asking for so much money every now and then. He sat with me one day and he had tears in his eyes and he said, I'm your father. I said, yes, I know, I don't doubt that. So he said, you can share with me if you're going through some problem. He said, I hope you're not getting into drugs. I hope you're not getting into something, which is not appreciating. He said, मुझे बता दो अगर कोई दिक्कत है तो. Why do you need so much money? And that's when I told him I'm getting into social work and I'm doing my projects. And he was very happy with what I was doing. My family, I will never say that they have, in a very extraordinary way supported me or at the same time stopped me from doing anything. They have never questioned my decision. If I wanted to do social work, they let me do what I want to do. For example, when I was seeing during school days, कई बार पेरेंट्स अपने बच्चों को कहते हैं कि आपको इतने % मार्क्स लेके आने हैं. I said it's like an astrologer telling that कल को आप 2 करोड़ रुपए कमाओगे. How can a parents decide that this is what their children will score?
True.
It completely depends on so many things. So my parents never said that you have to score this percentage or you have to be above 90-95%. My father always said that you just pass. But by passing in your class, you'll not become one of the achievers. You have to see the competition today is very high. So if you're not an achiever in one field, choose your, your field. Be an achiever somewhere else.
Right.
Either sports, arts, whatever it may be. You have to choose something. And I think I chose social work and I was doing very well from a very early age, and that's why I think they never questioned what I wanted to do.
बिकॉज इट हैपन्स नॉर्मली, खासकर जो हमारी ऑडियंस है, तो जब एक अपना डिजिटल फील्ड में या पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग एक डिफरेंट एक करियर जब ट्राई करते हैं, वो अलॉन्ग विद द स्टडीज एज वेल, वो उसको कर रहे हैं, बट साथ में दे वांट टू परस्यू समथिंग एल्स, इवन इफ दे आर लर्निंग द अदर स्किल्स, जो आज के टाइम पे बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी हैं. सो इट हैपन्स दैट दे गेट अ ह्यूज रेजिस्टेंस फ्रॉम देयर पेरेंट्स.
What I believe, Rohit, is that after a point you start enjoying something. Like today, if Bizgurukul is something that gives you happiness, I don't think you'll ever stop this process.
Absolutely right.
Once you fall in love, you can never come back. I don't think you can ever hate something that you love. You'll always
Correct.
love something more than that.
Correct.
But I don't think you can hate that thing.
Correct.
So I'd fallen in love with social work. I'd fallen in love with the happiness it gave me. Or as in popular ways, there's one of the films that I was seeing of Salman Khan called Kick. The way he got that kick with that smile, I think when there was something changing with my work, with some impact, it gave me that kick. So I think that kick is what we all want in our life.
Wow. So currently, like, you are running various projects, right? But the most prominent of them is the Wash project.
Yes.
So can you tell me about that? Because this is something which is, a lot of people, they are also working into that, but the kind of, different 5-point program that you have inculcated into it, it really, I mean, it kind of surprised me in fact, because normally क्या होता है कि when we talk about a project, तो हम ठीक है sanitation की बात कर रहे हैं, women health की बात कर रहे हैं, but उसमें जो 5 points थे, तो it's a complete, जैसे हम हमारे यहाँ पे बोलते हैं, it's a complete ecosystem, कि जहाँ पे आपने सारे के सारे aspects को ही cover कर लिया, so please enlighten us about that, कि idea कैसे आया, why did you strategize it in these 5 points?
So the very first thing is, Rohit, that I lost a sister. I was probably 6 years of age, 5 years of age, when my mother was pregnant.
Okay.
And as a kid, I was so happy to have a sister in my life, and I was very happy about the fact that I'll have someone to play with. But after 9 months, when my mother, the day of delivery, she went to the hospital. I mean, today I feel that with her, I lived that journey as well. That 9 months of expecting that sister.
Anticipation,
Yes, I saw everything. But the last day, my mother, when she went to the hospital, she did not come back with my father. And I kept asking, where's mom? So he said, she's in the hospital. When she came back home, she was all alone. And I did not understand why. And my mother kept on, just saying that she'll come tomorrow, day after, this, that. And after 6 months, when I was asking her constantly and understanding that how much trauma she must have gone at that point of time, she broke down and she cried and she probably shouted at me for the first time. And she said she's gone to Bhagwanji. And as a kid, I used to curse Bhagwanji. I said, why have you taken away my sister? Because I was looking forward to it. It was like a toy that I wanted to play with. As a kid, I did not understand it. And now I think that has been in my subconscious mind, that I miss that sister so much, that when I read that about 180,000 women die every year in our country, and this stat is not accurate. I mean, आज के देश में हमारे सेंसस को ये नहीं पता चला है कि हमारे देश में कितने लोग रहते हैं.
True.
So it is impossible to track that how many people die. But this was a huge number. 180,000 women dying every year. It was bothering me. Each time I thought about it, it started bothering me and remind me of my sister. And that's when I started this project, because it was so important. Everyone used to talk about women empowerment, and I kept asking this question again and again, that how can you empower a woman if you can't save her life? I think we must first, what is more important is to save her life, and then, I mean, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is excellent. You have to save that girl. But what happens after she's given birth, after she comes to this world? You have to, this is something so basic. And you'll not believe, in 2018, I had given a statement to NDTV saying that poor menstrual hygiene can become as big as polio. So we need to act now. And at that point of time, I remember I was getting constant calls from people who would make fun of that statement. Politicians, bureaucrats, and they said, this boy cannot think anything beyond menstruation and periods. But in 2019 and 20, a study comes out which says No access to menstrual hygiene products, which has led to poor menstrual hygiene, has become fifth biggest reason in the world for women to die. Now, when this statement comes out, I start getting the calls from the same people that, oh, you were right. I said, I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about that it's the fifth biggest reason. What makes me upset is that you did not listen to me at that point of time. अगर आप पहले सुन लेते, शायद हम
कदम उठाते आप,
कुछ लोगों
रोक
की
सकते थे,
कुछ जिंदगी बचा सकते. But anyway, we have been working on it. The 5 points that you talked about is, the very first point is awareness. And awareness not just amongst women but also amongst the trans community. So it is very, very important and essential to talk about it to start with. That's what we do. Talk openly about it. Then why is awareness important? Because there's so many women that we have met in this journey of 6 years talking about menstruation who did not know what is the biological reason of menstruation.
Okay.
जब उनको नहीं पता होता, आप imagine करो as a man also. Forget about periods at this moment. As a man, if you start bleeding all of a sudden and you don't know what is the reason, you will be traumatized.
True.
And trauma management is something which is completely ignored in our country. You see police officers, you see army officials, you see doctors who see so much of violence, who see so much of bloodshed in front of them. There's no one talking about trauma management for them. I think trauma management is very, very needed. It's very important. So these girls who go through trauma, they, first of all, we make them aware about it, that what is the biological reason of menstruation, how to deal with it. Also, in a country which has history of thousands and thousands of years, there's so many things which are said, which might be relevant at some point of time, but आज उनकी कोई relevance नहीं है. जैसे आपने कई बार सुना होगा कि नाखून रात को नहीं काटने चाहिए. I mean, the simple reason behind it is कि उस वक्त बिजली नहीं हुआ करती थी और nail cutters नहीं हुआ करते थे.
लोग झाड़ू नहीं लगाना चाहिए क्योंकि कुछ सोना वोना कुछ गिर गया तो दिखेगा नहीं और कूड़े में चला जाएगा.
Absolutely. So एक ज़माने में उसकी relevance बिल्कुल सही थी, but आज के ज़माने में it's of no relevance. Similarly, there are a lot of things said about menstruation, about periods, and I think now is the time to bust those taboos and make people understand that this is irrelevant today.
Something like you cannot go to kitchen.
Imagine at that point of time we had big families where अगर भाभी नहीं है
उनको रेस्ट चाहिए पीरियड्स में तो देवरा नहीं जा सकती है,
कोई भी जा सकता है. Now that we are coming to a nuclear family.
Yeah.
Can you imagine one woman in the family and she's on her periods? I mean, my mother has never sent me home, never sent me outside the house खाली पेट. कई लोग बोलते हैं ना कि पीरियड्स के वक्त पे आप किचन में जाओ, ये मत करो मत करो. मैं उनसे सवाल पूछता हूँ कि आज तक आपकी माँ ने आपको भूखा सोने दिया है?
True.
My mother never let me leave the house without food. So in nuclear families, you have to consider that woman has to do everything.
True.
You can't say that you don't go to the kitchen. If we can afford a maid or maybe a house, someone to take care of the house, imagine maybe there's someone who cannot. So the role of a woman is very, very important. So that is about the awareness, and amongst the men as well. As much as we make women aware, we have to also make the men aware. And something which has been ignored is the trans community. Are those people who were born as females but now identify themselves as males, the trans men, but they menstruate because a lot of people do not have enough money to buy the medicines, the tablets or hormonal tablets. A lot of people do not have the money for surgeries. So while they menstruate, it's very important to also take care of them, include them in this conversation and make them aware about the same. So the second point is about, as I said, trauma management. So it is very important to deal with the trauma that these women have gone through. So we have counseling sessions that we organize for these women free of cost. And this happens after listening circle. Listening circle एक ऐसा ग्रुप है जहाँ पर 30 से 40 महिलाएं एक साथ आती हैं अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स डिस्कस करने के लिए. आज के ज़माने में हमारी शहरों में हम किसी को भी फ़ोन करके बोल सकते हैं कि हमें ये दिक्कत हो रही है. बट हाउ मेनी वुमेन हैव द लिबर्टी इन द रूरल एरियाज टू गो आउट एंड इवन डिस्कस देयर प्रॉब्लम और इवन कंसिडर दैट उनकी प्रॉब्लम उनके घर से बड़ी है. आप कहीं भी देखिए, एक महिला को देखिए, चाहे वो शहर की हो चाहे वो गाँव की हो, उसको अपनी दिक्कत बहुत छोटी दिखती है, बाकी सबकी
फैमिली Right.
So that is more important than her own issues. But when they come together in this listening circle, they discuss about their problems. And they know that there is someone else who's also dealing with it and we are not alone. कई बार ऐसा होता है, हमको लगता है कि हम किसी छोटी सी प्रॉब्लम में अगर फंस जाते हैं, हमको लगता है कितनी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आ चुकी है. And we are all alone, we feel. But when this listening circle, these women come together, discuss, and after that they have one-to-one sessions with the doctors. If it is something related to mental health, there are counseling sessions. If it is something related to physical health, there are gynecologists who deal with it. The third point is nutrition. कई बार there is about 14%, मैं एक आर्टिकल पढ़ रहा था, 14% of our population is malnourished in India. Now malnourishment का एक reason हम लोग कहते हैं कि poverty है. Of course poverty is one of the big reasons, but the other reason that we have realized after spending so much time in the rural areas is gender bias. Now unintentionally or intentionally the mother thinks अगर घर में 3 चपाती है तो 2 लड़के को देनी और 1 लड़की को देनी है, चाहे उसकी उम्र कुछ भी हो. So informing them about nutrition is very very important. जब हम न्यूट्रिशन की बात करते हैं स्पेशली शहरों में आज के ज़माने में, तो एकदम दिमाग में आता है एग्जॉटिक फ्रूट्स, एवोकाडोज, किनुआ, ये खाना है वो खाना है. बट दीज पीपल कैन नॉट अफोर्ड इट. वो इंसान जो अपने घर में रहते हुए ये सोचता है कि हमको 3 टाइम का खाना मिल जाए वो काफ़ी है, उसको हम थोड़ी कह सकते हैं जाके एवोकाडोज खरीदो. So we have to think, the nutritionists who work with us, they have to think about possibility, they have to think about availability, accessibility, and how much is, if it's affordable for them or not. Based on these 3 points, we give them the list and charts for nutrition, make them aware about what is easily accessible, very cheap, and probably they can find it in their own kitchen. And the 4th point is where we give them free sanitary pads.
Wow.
आपने सुना होगा कि 21 दिन तक अगर आप किसी चीज़ को फॉलो करते हैं तो इट बिकम्स अ हैबिट. सो वी वांट वुमेन टू गेट इनटू द हैबिट ऑफ यूजिंग सैनिटरी पैड्स, व्हिच इज़ व्हाई वी प्रोवाइड देम फ्री सैनिटरी पैड्स. बट एट द सेम टाइम, जैसे मैंने पहले आपको कहा था, किसी को एक टाइम खाना देकर आप कुछ नहीं चेंज कर सकते. सो वी डोंट वांट देम टू बी डिपेंडेंट ऑन अस कि ये आकर हमको सैनिटरी पैड्स दे जाएंगे. So in the 5th point, we teach them how to make sanitary pads.
Oh, brilliant.
When we teach them how to make sanitary pads, they not only become independent, they also become entrepreneurs.
Right.
A lot of these women, I mean, we have reached to over 2.5 million women in the past. And out of this number, there are so many women in small little villages who have started making sanitary pads in bulk. और उसको बहुत कम दामों पर वो अपने गाँव के आसपास या अपने गाँव में डोर टू डोर बेच के आती हैं. And that helps them, you know, gives them some kind of pocket money. But for a lot of them, it has become a cottage industry where it has boomed and people are buying from them. In fact, during this lockdown, the first lockdown in the national capital of India, in New Delhi, the sanitary pads were not considered in the essentials list.
Right.
जिसकी वजह से किसी भी स्टोर में, बड़े से बड़े स्टोर में आपको सैनिटरी पैड्स अवेलेबल नहीं थे. एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वुमेन फ्रॉम बेलज, विच इज़ अ वेरी स्मॉल विलेज इन महाराष्ट्र, वेरी स्मॉल विलेज इन राजस्थान, ऐसे छोटे छोटे गाँव से हमारे पास 1.5 लाख के करीब किट्स आए. और भेजे किसने? उन महिलाओं ने जिनको हमने सिखाया था. सो उससे हमको ये समझ में आया कि इस सिखाने का क्या फ़ायदा हुआ हमको आज. एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड, मुझे नहीं पता था कि पैंडेमिक आने वाला है, बट मुझे ये ज़रूर पता था कि ऐसी सिचुएशन ज़रूर आएगी जहां हम उन तक नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे और वो हम तक नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे. सो आई थिंक द पैंडेमिक was something that also showed us the impact of the WASH project. So these are the 5 very small points. The project is very broad. It is as big as a course. When we talk about menstrual hygiene management, वो किसी भी डिग्री से कम नहीं है. So, but these are the 5 concise points on which we work, and we keep reinventing every now and then. There is a research team who's always working, and every time we find out something new, we reinvent ourselves. So these are the 5 points, Rohit.
I have only one word for this: incredible.
Thank you.
To even think of these things to such an extent, you know, that what kind of impact could be there. And then, you know, जैसे commonly बोला जाता है spoke and, you know, hub and spoke model, वो आपने पूरा इसका ecosystem build up किया. But while listening to that, one question that came to my mind is, like, how do you arrange funds for all of this? Because, you know, you're distributing free sanitary pads, you're educating them, you have gynecologists, you have counselors, and all of these things, they come at a cost, right?
No, they're all volunteering.
Oh wow.
All these people who have come from various paths, there are doctors, there are gynecologists, there are physicians, there are people who are nutritionists, experts from various fields. They're all working on volunteer basis with us.
Okay.
There is no one in the entire organization who's paid. Everyone is coming because they like the cause, because they see the impact of the cause. And also what I make people understand is, जैसे पेट भरने के लिए खाना खाना होता है, वैसे ही अपनी आत्मा को, अपने सोल को फीड करने के लिए you need to do something. And when people talk about spirituality, when people talk about meditation and yoga, I said एक दिन मेरे साथ आके देखो.
Correct.
The moment they come with me, they actually understand that it is soul feeding. And you know, Rohit, each time I meet someone, I do not meet that person that I will squeeze the lemon out of him. People think that you know, to do big work you always need money. I think you just need the will to do it, and everything happens on its own. You will not believe, there's so many instances in my life where I have not understood how is this happening. It's just I met the right people at the right place at the right time, and it just happened. But behind it was a will.
So when there is a will, there is a way, again proven right by
Yes.
you. एंड मेरे को लगता है इस सब के लिए जो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, जो मे बी अगर कोई लोग छोटा सा भी नोटिस कर पाएँ, दैट आपको बाहर निकलना पड़ेगा. घर बैठे कंफर्ट में कंबल में बैठ के माँ के हाथ का खाना खा के तो चीज़ें नहीं हो सकती.
Absolutely not.
Right, wow. So when you were beginning your journey, you know, launching all these projects, especially the wash project, तो क्या क्या challenges आए और आज भी क्या क्या challenges आते हैं? Because कई बार क्या होता है, हमारे लोग भी हैं, you know, when they want to pursue this career, वो effort लगाते हैं, तो कुछ लोगों के लिए start अच्छी हो जाती है, बाद में challenge आता है. कुछ लोगों के लिए starting की बहुत दिक्कत होती है, बाद में थोड़ा smooth चला जाता है. कई लोग initially quit कर देते हैं, कई लोग बाद में quit कर देते हैं. And then definitely there are a lot of people जो वो will अपनी intact रखते हैं and they achieve success, you know, जिनको आप इंस्पायर कर पा रहे हैं आज. तो वो मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूँ कि क्या चैलेंजेस आए.
There are multiple challenges. The very first thing, जैसे आपने ही सवाल पूछा कि फंडिंग कहाँ से आती है, that is one of the biggest challenges. एक छोटे से शहर में समाज सेवा करना या सोशल वर्क करना और एक बड़े शहर में करना बहुत डिफरेंस होता है. देहरादून से मेरी शुरुआत हुई, वहाँ पर तो मेरी पॉकेट मनी से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चल जाती थी. बट नाउ दैट वी आर वर्किंग इन राजस्थान, वी आर वर्किंग इन दिल्ली एनसीआर, वी आर वर्किंग इन यूपी, वी आर वर्किंग इन महाराष्ट्र, इतना एक्सपैंड करने के बाद वो पॉकेट मनी से नहीं चल सकता.
True.
So we do need funding for that. So we struggle because we do not have enough skills to go and ask for funding. We do not have that marketing skill. We do not have the skills to promote ourselves. हमको काम करना आता है, but that is a drawback. That is a fault. That is a problem. So we are now looking for people who can help us with that, professionals, because again, it is a profession. One thing I know is that if we reach out to them, they'll of course like the project, but reaching out to a corporate and to the right person is a big task. Then on ground, there's so many challenges that I feel is especially for the wash project. The very first thing that we go to villages. आप शहर में भी अगर किसी से पूछेंगे that are you on your periods today, how why are you talking to me about it? So the very first thing is rapport building with them. So how it takes us months to build rapport with these people. And the communities, there's so many communities that we have been to where they're very restricted, like Rajasthan, इतने लंबा पल्लू रखती हैं महिलाएं, मर्दों से बात नहीं करती हैं. To reach out to those women is very, very difficult. To be able to make them understand, especially women who are little elder to us. You know, कई बार लोगों को लगता है कि उम्र के साथ आपका ज्ञान बढ़ता रहता है. बिल्कुल होता भी होगा, बट मेरा ये मानना है कि अगर मैं रोहित के साथ आज हूँ, रोहित की उम्र 30 साल है और मेरी उम्र 27 है, तो उसके साथ मिलके जो आपका ज्ञान है और मेरा ज्ञान है वो एक हो गया है. सो आई थिंक आई एम एल्डर देन यू बिकॉज यू हैव इम्पार्टेड योर नॉलेज टू मी. सो दैट इज़ व्हाट आई बिलीव दैट कई बार मुश्किल होती है महिलाओं को समझाने में, उन पुरुषों से बात करने में. एंड स्पेशली व्हेन आई गो इट इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट बिकॉज व्हेन दे लुक समटाइम्स दे आर टेरिफाइड कि अच्छा इसके साथ बात करनी है. बट देयर मैनी फनी इंस्टेंसेज, देयर वेरी गुड इंस्टेंसेज वेयर वुमेन हैव वेरी ओपनली ओपनड अबाउट टॉक्ड अबाउट मेंस्ट्रुएशन, अबाउट पीरियड्स. एक बार मुझे कई जगहों पर डॉक्टर बाबू कहा जाता है,
ओके
क्योंकि उनको लगता है डॉक्टर है।
बात कर रहे हैं इस बारे
कई
में।
बार मुझे एक बार राजस्थान में एक महिला ने पूछा कि आपको भी होता है क्या, कि उसको लगा उनको ऐसा लगा कि इसको इतना नॉलेज है इसके बारे में, शायद इसको भी होता हो। बट उससे उनकी मानसिकता समझ में आती कि अनअवेयरनेस का लेवल देखो
कहाँ
कितना
तक
है,
या
कि एक महिला को ये नहीं पता कि पुरुष ब्लीड नहीं करते। So there's many such instances that we deal with, which are the challenges. And each day when you get out of your house, there is a challenge. You have to deal it. And when you come back home, I'm sure you're able to understand that those challenges are very temporary and only for a very short span.
True.
So it will keep coming and you'll keep going on.
तो मतलब ऑडियंस को हमारी अब तो ये बात तो क्लियरली समझ में आ गई है कि भाई आप चाहे अपने लिए कुछ काम कर रहे हैं या फिर आप एक सोसाइटी के लिए इतना बड़ा कुछ प्रोजेक्ट रन कर रहे हैं, हर रोज़ आपको चैलेंजेस फेस करने ही पड़ेंगे। इट इज़ नॉट ए लेवल ऑफ कई बार लोग कहते हैं कि जी हैसियत की अगर हम बात करते हैं कि मैं तो जी छोटा सा हूँ, ये तो जी इतने बड़े आदमी हैं, इनको क्या सब कुछ आसान चल रहा होगा, उनको उनके लेवल की प्रॉब्लम है, इनको इनके लेवल की प्रॉब्लम है, लेकिन सबको वो चैलेंजेस से डील करना है और सबको आगे पुश करना ही पड़ेगा। कमिंग ओवर टू द लास्ट क्वेश्चन, यू टॉक अबाउट फाइनेंशियल एम्पावरमेंट अलॉट, कि आप किसी को चाहे विमेन एम्पावरमेंट है या अंडर प्रिविलेज सोसाइटी के आप अगर एम्पावरमेंट कर रहे हैं, द वेरी वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट इज फाइनेंशियल एम्पावरमेंट, बिकॉज अगर आप वो नहीं देंगे तो इंसान आगे की किसी भी चीज़ में नहीं ग्रो कर पाएगा। तो ये थॉट कैसे आया और व्हाट आर यू, हाउ आर यू वर्किंग फॉर दैट?
See, there are a lot of projects that come time to time, where we work on the inclusiveness, and we work on empowering people financially. We think of employment generation, etc. But there is no specific thing that I can say कि ये सोच के याद आया. But one of the very recent things that I'll tell you is about this very famous artist called Bhagwan Das. Now Bhagwan Das is a national award winning artist. He's a puppeteer. एंड वो एक बस्ती में रहते हैं। वो बस्ती का नाम था कठपुतली, और वो दिल्ली से कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है, शादीपुर डिपो में कठपुतली नाम की बस्ती हुआ करती थी, विच वॉज वर्ल्ड्स बिगेस्ट स्ट्रीट आर्टिस्ट कम्युनिटी। आज की डेट में तो खैर वो बस्ती नहीं रही क्योंकि उसको तोड़ दिया गया है, बट वो अभी ट्रांजिट कैंप में रहते हैं। तो जब वो ट्रांजिट कैंप में रह रहे थे तो मैं उनसे एक दिन मिलने गया, तो उन्होंने मुझसे एक सवाल पूछा कि अनुराग, क्या आपको गाड़ी चलानी आती है? मैंने कहा नहीं है, पर ऐसा सवाल क्यों पूछ रहे हैं आप मुझसे? ही सेड, गाड़ी में बैठकर कभी आप जब चल रहे होते हैं और आपकी गाड़ी के सामने कोई जानवर आ जाता है तो कैसी फीलिंग होती है? मैंने कहा दिल दहल जाता है, ऑफ कोर्स, चाहे कोई भी जानवर हो, आपको डर लग जाता है कहीं वो जानवर मरा तो नहीं, अब डरते हैं। ही सेड, पर कभी सड़क पे चलते हुए आपने देखा कि आपके पैर के नीचे कितनी चींटियां आई हैं या कितने मकोड़े को आपने मार दिया है? I didn't have an answer. And how many of us actually even consider that? I don't think any one of us. He said, हमारी जिंदगी उन चींटियों के बराबर है जिनके ऊपर ये समाज अपने पैर रखकर हमको दबोच देता है, हमारी जिंदगी खत्म हो जाती है और वो इंसान आगे बढ़ जाता है। इट इज़ सो ट्रू। कहते हैं ऊंची ऊंची बिल्डिंग में रहने वाले लोग कभी झुक के नीचे नहीं देखना चाहते कि हम लोग कहाँ पर हैं। So what is the point of earning money? What is the point of being rich when you can't help anyone? When you can't help a poor, there's no point of being rich, because you're rich only for your own self. So what he said was so right, was a reflection of our society. एक और चीज़ उन्होंने मुझे कही, उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि जो मेरी व्यथा है वो अगर मैं आपको बता भी दूँ आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते। एंड आई इंसिस्टेड कि आप मुझे बताइए तो कि आपकी क्या प्रॉब्लम है। ही सेड, रात को जब मैं सोता हूँ ना, तो ही इज़ पैरालिटिक, सो इसे रात को जब मैं सोता हूँ तो मेरे बदन के ऊपर चूहे आके दौड़ते हैं, और जब वो चूहे आके दौड़ते हैं तो मेरे बदन, वो मुझे काटते हैं और बहुत दर्द होता है। एंड ही हैड टीयर्स इन हिज आइज व्हाइल सेइंग दिस। ही सेड, दर्द इस चीज़ का नहीं होता कि वो मुझे काटते हैं, दर्द इस चीज़ का होता है कि मैं उनको अपने ऊपर से हटा नहीं सकता, बिकॉज ही इज़ पैरालाइज्ड। एंड देन ही सेड, such is the condition of our country, where people know about the problems, they know about the solutions, but they're paralyzed. And that's what inspires me to do more, as much as I can do. And I think this is one of the instances that I'll tell you, that I told you, that it motivates me to do something. लॉकडाउन में भी कठपुतली कम्युनिटी के साथ हमने प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट करे थे जहाँ पर हम लोगों ने एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन किया था। वी टॉट दीज कठपुतली वाला सब, उनको सिखाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, वो तो कहानीकार हैं, कहानियाँ बताते हैं। लॉकडाउन में स्कूल्स सब ऑनलाइन चल रहे थे, बच्चे बोर हो रहे थे। आई कैन नॉट इमेजिन अगर मेरे साथ ये हुआ था कि मैं अपनी स्कूलिंग कर भी पाता कि नहीं कर पाता. It was very difficult.
True.
To be able to be sitting in front of a camera and a laptop for more than 6-7 hours a day, it's next to impossible. But hats off to all the students who did that. But at the same time, I thought that it's very essential to add something to it. And what we did was we took these Katputliwalas, give them the Hindi stories from the schools.
Okay.
And इन्होंने उस कहानी को एक टीचर वर्बली बताती, उन्होंने एक परफॉर्मिंग आर्ट के थ्रू वो कहानी बच्चों तक पहुंचाई, नरेट करी. एंड दैट्स हाउ दे मेड मनी ड्यूरिंग द लॉकडाउन.
ग्रेट. तो मैं बहुत ज़्यादा रिलेट कर पा रहे हैं बिकॉज एट बिज गुरुकुल हमारा भी ये मिशन रहता है कि लोगों को ऐसी स्किल्स दें विच दे आर एबल टू मोनिटाइज. बिकॉज एक बार इफ एंड दे गेट फाइनेंशियल एजुकेशन एज वेल, जब वो चीज़ें होंगी तो डेफिनेटली आप सोसाइटी को बहुत अच्छे से अपलिफ्ट कर पाएंगे. और आपके इस आंसर से ना मुझे एक बात बहुत अच्छी कहावत याद आ गई कि व्हेन यू डोंट वांट टू डू समथिंग यू विल फाइंड एक्सक्यूजेस, and when you want to do something you will find reasons. And that
Absolutely.
has been the core of your journey. You found reasons and you've been doing things.
Absolutely. In fact, a lot of people say, that what you've just said, that आपकी कहानी में कोई सैड स्टोरी नहीं है. कई बार मुझे जर्नलिस्ट कहते हैं कि आपने क्यों ये काम स्टार्ट किया, कोई तो सैड स्टोरी होगी. I said, why is there a need of a sad story? आई थिंक वी ऑल नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. जैसे हम कॉर्पोरेट्स में CSR के बारे में बात करते हैं, कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. आई थिंक द नीड ऑफ द सोसाइटी एट दिस मोमेंट इज फॉर ISR, इंडिविजुअल सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. एंड वी ऑल नीड टू इंडिविजुअली बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर वॉट वी आर डूइंग. एंड कई बार आपने सुना होगा, लोग कहते हैं कि इससे मेरा क्या मतलब. आपका मतलब है. A lot of people say that, oh, you are a man and that's why you must not talk about periods. I said, मैं भी एक औरत के पेट से जन्मा हूँ और जो भी एक औरत के पेट से जन्मा है वो इसके बारे में बात करे. जो नहीं जन्मा वो ना करे. There is no one who's born without a mother.
True.
So I think it is very, very important for every man to stand up and say, I am with this woman, and that could be your sister, your mother. So, we say that they are equal. Yes, they are equal. But what we need to do is we need to treat them equally. We need to appreciate. We need to admire. We need to be a part of their journey. We can never be menstruating.
True.
You and I cannot bleed. But you and I can also not give birth to a child.
True.
Which a woman would.
True.
So what we can do as brothers, as husbands, as boyfriends is be a part of their journey. And that's how I think is the way to move forward in the society.
Oh, guys, you need to type in the comment, I am with this. Because that's such a lovely point, that he has mentioned. कि we need to be a part of this, as simple as that. क्योंकि आप होंगे, then only you can make a change. A small, subtle change as like just being emotionally available for the women in your house and in your life and in your family. Wow, thank you so much, Anurag. It was really, really great talking to you. And just one last thing, for all the viewers who are listening to us, जो connect होना चाहते हैं ऐसे projects के साथ, who want to contribute in any manner, possible, be it financially or being physically available, or just, spreading the awareness. Can you please enlighten us? कैसे कर सकते हैं वो? How can they connect with you?
It's very simple. You can write to hfhofficial@gmail.com. You can find Humans for Humanity Official on Instagram. You can write to us. You can DM us, you can leave a comment, and we'll get in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anurag ji. That was so great having you on the Impact
Pleasure
Show.
is mine.
One of the person who has really created such a big impact. And we feel so blessed कि आप Impact Show में आए because सबसे ज़्यादा resonate कर गया Impact word. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.